Rain hammered against the windows of the Sunrise Café in downtown Seattle, like desperate little fists trying to get in. Marcus Whitfield watched the droplets slide down the glass, each following its own unpredictable path, just like his life for the past 3 years. Unpredictable, painful, and completely out of control. With a net worth of $2.8 billion, Marcus could have been having breakfast anywhere. The Four Seasons had a suite reserved for him. The Metropolitan Grill kept his Sunday table waiting. Yet here he was, 8:30 in the morning, sitting at a scratched formica table in a small cafe that smelled of burnt coffee and bacon grease. Across from him sat the reason why, his 8-year-old son, Jaime, in a customized wheelchair that cost more than most cars. Daddy, Jaime stammered, the spoon trembling in his hand. I can't. Marcus felt that familiar stab in his chest, a mix of fierce love and helplessness that had haunted him since the accident. Jaime had only managed 3 spoonfuls of oatmeal in 20 minutes. His small fingers, stiff from cerebral palsy, refused to obey him. Frustration flickered in his blue eyes, the same eyes as his mother's. "It's okay, champ," Marcus murmured, sliding closer. "Let me help you." "No," Jaime shouted, louder than his frail body usually allowed. I do it alone." Heads turned. Conversations paused. Marcus could feel the stares, the curiosity, the pity, the discomfort. He'd learned to ignore them, but when those stares were aimed at Jaime, they cut deep. His son wasn't something to pity. He was smart, funny, and full of life, just fighting harder than most kids for simple things. Marcus had chosen the Sunrise Café for a reason. People here usually minded their own business. Or so he thought. More. Jaime murmured weakly, pointing at his plate. Oatmeal stuck to his cheek, and Marcus leaned in with a napkin, moving carefully so he wouldn't startle him. Every small action had to be slow, patient, like a quiet dance. He'd read the books, paid for the best therapies, met every expert money could buy, but nothing prepared him for moments like this, helping his son eat breakfast under the weight of strangers' eyes. "Want Daddy to help with another spoonful?" he asked gently. Jaime nodded, frustration tightening his small shoulders. Some days were better than others. Today wasn't one of them. The cafe doorbell rang, but Marcus didn't look up. He focused on guiding Jaime's shaky hand toward the spoon. "Easy, champ," he whispered. "We're not in a hurry," but Jaime's hand trembled harder. The spoon clattered into the bowl, echoing through the cafe. Tears welled up in his eyes, and Marcus's heart broke a little more. "It's okay," Marcus said quickly, picking up the spoon. "Nothing happened, buddy." "Let's try again." "I can't," Jaime cried, his voice cracking. "I hate this." The room fell silent. Every eye was on them. An elderly couple whispered. A man in a suit stared at his phone, pretending not to notice. Marcus knew this moment too well, the one when Jaime's condition became too visible for comfort. He was about to lift Jaime and leave when a soft voice came from behind. "Hey there, champ." Marcus turned. A young woman, maybe 26, knelt beside Jaime's chair. She wore a stained cafe uniform and an apron that had seen better days. Her name tag read Sarah Chen. Her shoes were patched with duct tape. Dark circles under her eyes told of sleepless nights. But her gaze was warm, kind, and free of pity. "Is that spoon giving you trouble?" she asked casually, like she was talking to any other kid. "Happens to me too, especially when I'm starving." Marcus braced himself for Jaime's usual reaction. Shyness, retreat, maybe tears. But Jaime just looked at her, curious. His tears stopped. "Why?" he asked softly. Sarah smiled as if he'd asked the most brilliant question in the world. "Because spoons can be tricky, but I know a secret trick for that. Only if you're really hungry." "Are you?" Jaime nodded eagerly. "Perfect." She stood up, hurried to the counter, and came back with a smaller spoon that had a thick rubber grip. Marcus recognized it immediately, an adaptive spoon. But Sarah presented it like treasure. "This is my magic spoon," she said, sitting beside Jaime. "Smaller, steadier, and perfect for brave kids. Is it okay if I sit here?" "Please," Marcus said, his voice rough with emotion. She adjusted her chair slightly to give space to Jaime's wheelchair, a small, natural gesture that meant everything. "So," she continued, "the trick is not to rush. Take your time. Every bite matters. Want me to show you?" Jaime nodded, completely focused. Marcus leaned back, afraid even to breathe. Sarah held the spoon, showing him how to grip it. Thumb here, 2 fingers there. Feel that? More stable, right? Jaime nodded again. For once, he didn't flinch at her touch. Now just a little oatmeal, Sarah said softly. No need to fill the spoon. She guided his hand carefully toward the plate. Perfect. Now slow and steady. All the time you need. Jaime lifted the spoon. It shook, but less this time. Sarah's hand hovered close, ready but not interfering. That's it, she beamed. You did it perfectly. The smile that spread across Jaime's face was like sunrise after a long storm. Marcus blinked back tears. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen that smile. Again? Jaime asked, already reaching for another spoonful. Of course, Sarah laughed. But this time, how about a story? Makes breakfast go faster. She began a ridiculous tale about a penguin who wanted to fly and ended up joining a circus. Jaime laughed, really laughed, and the sound filled something in Marcus that had been empty for far too long. While Sarah talked, Marcus watched her, really watched her. She was young, tired, probably overworked, but she carried a warmth he hadn't seen in years. There was something in her eyes that spoke of hardship. Her uniform was clean but old, mended in several places. Her shoes were so worn that he could see where she had used bits of cardboard to cover the holes in the soles. But the way she interacted with Jaime was pure magic. There was no trace of pity, no softened tone that people often used with disabled children. Sarah spoke to Jaime like any other smart, funny kid, because that's exactly what he was. She helped him with another spoonful of oatmeal. The penguin decided flying was overrated, she said, and he preferred swimming instead. But there was a problem, she added. What problem? Jaime asked, completely caught up in the story. He'd spent so much time trying to fly, he'd forgotten how to swim. Jaime burst out laughing so hard he nearly choked. Sarah quickly handed him his orange juice. Marcus watched as she seemed to anticipate Jaime's every need before he even realized it himself. Tell me about you, Sarah said gently. Do you go to school? Yes, Jaime replied, wiping his mouth. A special school. I learn numbers, letters, and words. How exciting, Sarah said, her enthusiasm completely genuine. What's your favorite number? 7, Jaime answered instantly. Because that's my dog Max's number when he runs in circles before dinner. Sarah laughed, a bright, unrestrained laugh. That's the best reason I've ever heard for having a favorite number. Tell me about Max. Jaime launched into a vivid description of his 3-year-old golden retriever, his therapy dog and best friend. Marcus listened quietly, hearing stories he'd never known before. Secret garden adventures, moments when Max comforted Jaime whenever he felt sad. Sarah listened to every word as if it were the most captivating story in the world, asking thoughtful questions, laughing at just the right times. Never once impatient. Max sounds like the best friend anyone could have, Sarah said warmly. And I think he'd be proud of how well you ate today, Crew. Looked down and realized Jaime's plate was empty. The first time in months his son had finished a full meal. Without frustration or tears, would you like something else? Sarah asked. Pancakes, maybe a muffin? No, Jaime said softly. But can you stay a little longer? Something flickered in Sarah's eyes and a brief pain. She glanced at her cheap, cracked watch and sighed. I'd love to, sweetheart, but I have to work. Other people need breakfast too. Do you work here every day? Jaime asked, confused. Some days, she said with hesitation. Other days I work at different places. Where else? Jaime pressed, curious. Sarah looked at Marcus, calculating how much truth she could share. I work at a laundromat in the afternoons, and at a factory at night. Marcus felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. 3 jobs. This young woman worked 3 different jobs. Why do you work so much? Jaime asked innocently. Sarah smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. Because I need the money, sweetheart. Some of us have to work a lot to pay our bills. Like Daddy? Jaime asked, turning to Marcus. Heat crept up Marcus's neck. His work mostly involved meetings and phone calls from his 38th floor office. He hadn't known a day of physical exhaustion in his life. Your daddy has a very important job, Sarah said kindly, sensing the tension. He builds tall buildings, Jaime said proudly. Like the one with our name on it. Sarah froze for a moment, realization dawning. Whitfield building, she murmured. Yes, Marcus said, feeling oddly as though he should apologize. Her posture shifted instantly, warmth replaced by professionalism. It was wonderful meeting you, Jaime, she said, standing up. I hope you have a great day. Wait, Jaime called out, reaching toward her. Will you come back tomorrow? I don't work tomorrow, sweetheart, Sarah said softly. Tomorrow I'm at the laundromat. But you'll come back another day, right? His voice trembled with hope. I don't know, sweetheart, she said. My schedule's a bit complicated. Marcus knew he was at a crossroads. He could let her go, return to their usual routine of the next day, Marcus arrived at Volunteer Park 15 minutes early, carrying a bag from one of Seattle's best delis. Sandwiches, salads, fresh fruit. Enough for 4 people. He suddenly realized he didn't even know what Sarah liked. She arrived right on time, walking quickly up the path. She wore the same clothes as yesterday, clean and carefully pressed. Her shoes were patched with duct tape. Sorry I'm late, she said. You're not, Marcus replied, standing up. I just got here myself. They sat on the bench. When Marcus opened the bag, Sarah's eyes widened slightly. I brought options, he said, feeling foolish. Didn't know what you liked? Everything looks great, she said, choosing a simple turkey sandwich. Thank you. They ate in silence for a while, watching children play nearby. Marcus noticed how Sarah's eyes softened as she watched a small boy learning to walk, falling, then getting up again. He reminds me of Danny, she said quietly. He never gave up either. Tell me about him, Marcus said gently. Sarah smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. He was the happiest kid. Always laughing, always finding a reason to smile. When things got bad at home, he held us together. What happened to your parents? Her smile faded. My dad couldn't accept that Danny was different. Kept waiting for him to get better. My mom got tired of trying to fix it all. They divorced when Danny was 15. And you stayed with him? Someone had to, she said simply. My parents were broken. Dad moved to California, Mom to Florida. I was 19 in college. I left school, got a full-time job. Danny needed stability. He needed me. Marcus felt a wave of admiration and sadness. That must have been incredibly hard. It was, she said softly, but it was the best thing I ever did. She taught me more about love, patience, and joy than any university ever could. Those 3 years I spent caring for her were the best of my life. But then, Sarah's face darkened. Pneumonia, she said quietly. It started as a simple cold, but with his Down syndrome, his immune system wasn't strong enough. It got worse so fast, her voice trembled. We didn't have proper health insurance. I waited too long to take him to the hospital because I couldn't afford it. When I finally did, it was too late. Marcus felt like he'd been hit in the chest. Sarah, I'm so sorry. He died holding my hand, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Even then, he was trying to make me smile. His last words were, Don't cry, Sarah, it's okay. She wiped her eyes. After that, everything fell apart. The hospital bills were enormous. I lost my apartment. My parents blamed me for not taking him in sooner. It wasn't your fault, Marcus said firmly. My head knows that, she replied softly, but my heart still feels guilty. They sat in silence, the weight of shared pain between them. Marcus finally spoke. Sarah, I want to offer you something, but please hear me out before you answer. She turned toward him, drying her tears. I want to hire you full-time as Jaime's companion, he said. Not as a nanny or a caregiver, but as his friend, someone who can help him navigate life, someone he connects with. Sarah started to speak, but Marcus raised his hand. Please let me finish. The salary would be $100,000 a year, with full health insurance, paid vacation, and the chance to go to college if you want. I'll also cover your medical debts from Danny. Sarah's eyes widened. Marcus, that's too much. No, it isn't, Marcus said. Do you know how much I paid Jaime's last caregiver? $50,000, and he quit after 6 months because Jaime didn't connect with him. But yesterday I saw my son laugh, tell stories, eat without frustration for the first time in 3 years. You did that in 1 hour. Sarah stood, pacing. I don't understand. Why me? I'm a stranger. Because it's not about you, Marcus said, standing too. It's about Jaime. Yesterday he acted like a normal 8-year-old. That's priceless, but what if it doesn't work? Sarah asked nervously. What if he gets bored of me or I make mistakes? Then we'll figure it out, Marcus said simply. But let me ask you, when was the last time someone offered you a real opportunity? When was the last time someone saw your potential, not your circumstances? Sarah was silent for a long moment, torn between hope and fear. Finally, she said, If I do this, I don't want charity. I want to earn every penny. I want Jaime to be better because of me, not for me to live off your kindness. That's exactly what I want too, Marcus said with a smile. Sarah took a deep breath. When would I start? How about tomorrow? Marcus suggested. Come to the apartment, meet Jaime at home, and see if it feels right. Tomorrow, she repeated, testing the word. You'll have to quit your other jobs, Marcus said gently. But if you accept this, you'll never have to juggle 3 jobs again just to survive. She closed her eyes for a moment, then nodded. Okay, she whispered. Yes, let's do it, Marcus exhaled in relief. Really? Really, she said, smiling for the first time without hesitation. But Jaime has to approve of me too. If he's uncomfortable, I'll walk away. That won't be necessary, Marcus said. But thank you for putting him first. As they walked back to their cars, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Watching Sarah drive off in her old Honda Civic, he knew both their lives were about to change in ways they couldn't yet imagine. That night, when Marcus told Jaime about Sarah, his son's face lit up. She's coming here? Jaime asked eagerly. Yes, champ, tomorrow. Is she going to stay? Marcus smiled. I hope so, Jaime. I really hope so. For the first time in months, Jaime fell asleep with a smile on his face. Marcus let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, they had found someone who could help heal their broken family. The next morning, Marcus woke at 6 with a strange mix of nerves and anticipation. Jaime had already been up since 5:30, fully dressed, at least as best as he could manage on his own. Daddy, Jaime shouted. I dressed myself. Marcus grinned. The shirt was backward, the belt crooked, and one sock missing, but Jaime's proud expression was worth more than perfection. Amazing job, champ, Marcus said. Want me to help fix a few things before Sarah comes? Yes, Jaime nodded excitedly. I want to look perfect for her. As Marcus helped him, he noticed something new in his son, a spark of energy and joy that had been missing for years. Daddy, Jaime asked, is Sarah going to live here? No, champ, Marcus explained. She'll have her own place, but she'll spend the days with you. Jaime thought for a moment. What if she doesn't like me? Marcus knelt down to meet his eyes. Hey, remember how you felt yesterday when you were with her? Jaime smiled at the memory. She made me feel normal. And you made her feel special, Marcus said softly. She already cares about you. Today's just about making sure you two can be great friends. At 9:45 a.m., Marcus looked out the window from the penthouse and saw Sarah's old Honda Civic parked below. Even from 40 floors up, it stood out among the BMWs and Mercedes. Is that her? Jaime asked. Yes, Marcus said, watching as Sarah stepped out, gazing up at the towering building with awe and determination. For a moment, he worried it might be too much, too fancy, too intimidating. His phone rang. Mr. Whitfield, said the doorman, your visitor is here. Send her up, Marcus replied, and make sure she feels welcome. Moments later, the doorbell rang. Jaime shouted, I'll get it, struggling to reach the handle. Daddy, can you open it? I want to be the first to see Sarah. Marcus opened the door, and there she was. Sarah stood there in clean but worn clothes, her blouse carefully ironed, her shoes patched with duct tape, and a small backpack slung over her shoulder. But what Marcus noticed most was her expression. Equal parts awe and courage. Sarah, Jaime yelled, his voice bursting with joy. Hey, champ, she said, kneeling to his height. You look amazing today. I love your shirt. Marcus realized she'd noticed Jaime had dressed himself, but instead of pointing out the crooked collar, she simply celebrated him. I dressed myself, Jaime said proudly. That's awesome, Sarah replied warmly. You're very independent. Watching them together, Marcus knew he'd made the right choice. Their connection was instant, natural, effortless. Do you want to show me your house? Sarah asked. I'd love to, Jaime said, grinning from ear to ear. Sarah stood up, then turned to Marcus and extended her hand formally. Mr. Whitfield, thank you for this opportunity. I won't take it lightly. Marcus shook her hand. It was rough from work, but firm and warm. Marcus, he corrected gently. And thank you for coming. It means more than you know. The house tour that followed revealed more than Marcus had expected. Jaime led Sarah through the penthouse with the enthusiasm of a tour guide, pointing out every adaptation, every piece of equipment, every corner of his world. This is my ramp, Jaime said proudly, showing the sleek structure that connected the living room to the kitchen. Your dad had this built? Sarah asked. Yes, it's elegant, she added, genuinely impressed. Do you like using it? Sometimes I pretend I'm a race car, Jaime grinned. Sarah laughed. Can I see? Jaime's face lit up as he demonstrated his race car technique, complete with sound effects. Sarah cheered him on as if she were at the Indy 500. Next, they visited Jaime's room, bright, colorful, and filled with posters of astronauts and planets. A cozy reading corner sat near the window. Wow, Sarah said, smiling. This is the coolest room I've ever seen. Do you like space? She asked. Yes. I'm going to be an astronaut when I grow up, Jaime declared. Daddy says I can be whatever I want. And he's right, Sarah said warmly. Astronauts need to be smart, brave, and cute.